As we get into it, we're going to be looking, our youth perspective conversation today then goes into areas around, with the assemblies that we speak of, assembly is not a place that you go to, but the coming together of folks to push a particular agenda are the kind of assemblies that we speak of. Sawa. Joining us in a conversation this morning as we look into the next force in Kenyan's politics is economic empowerment the key. Remember the 10-point agenda? That we've been looking at, the 10 points over the last day, and we're going to do this until the 6th of March. The questions have been, what are we saying when it comes to what this 10-point agenda is then supposed to fulfill in the country? And actually, have we gone there? Have we reached that? Fortunately or unfortunately, it would appear as though so far this is day 5 of those agendas, and it would seem that we've not really cracked the thing on any one of them. But let's see what today's conversation then has. And while you were away, somebody slipped into the room. Joe Kamanya, good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
I'm here now.
No, how are you?
Answer the question. Don't answer your question.
I'm good. I'm here now.
Okay,
I'm here.
That's good. Yes. I know the rain now gets people thinking a certain way, but it's good to see you. Karibu Sana. To also help to have this conversation with us this morning, Muchanga Kiragu is a lawyer and a youth leader. Kikuyu constituency. He's here with us this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you doing?
I'm doing amazing.
Oh, good.
Yourself?
I am amazing. Now that's let's use that adjective today, shall we?
Sure.
Okay. We're also going to be joined by the youth affairs leader for UDA, Kip Korir Brian, will join us in a short while. Evelyn has the information as to where that is, like a secret CIA dossier.
Yes.
But I guess you'll join us in a bit. The show must go on either way, but we'll continue with that conversation as we go ahead. Then, in the meantime, Kamanya, while you were away at 6 o'clock, Dennis had taken us to Cameroon.
Yes. Land and home to indomitable lions.
Yes.
Samuel Etoro Jamila. Great guys. We talk about a country that has cocoa but no chocolate. Extracts oil but no fuel. Has timber but we import Italian furniture. Just saying. The president is 44 years old. There are people who don't know how he looks like, because even in the past campaigns, we were using posters, right, to go around saying this is the president. But let's go to the proverb. If you marry a beautiful woman, you must build a high fence. Maybe I'm a contractor, so give me the job. If you marry a beautiful woman, you must build a high fence. To both of you, how would you interpret that? Okay, how would you interpret it?
I think, thank you so much. I think it's a timely proverb. You see, I will actually, it's symbolic, and I will actually relate it to our Kenyan context. We have a lot of resources, really. We have a lot as a country that we, are proud of. And therefore, building the high fence for me will be the terms of accountability, transparency, looking into it from a constitutional perspective, Article 10. And, you're trying to guard the beautiful wife, per se. So that would be my interpretation.
Joe, are you giving me the job? Simiti,
You want him to build the wall to guard his beautiful wife? Yeah, right. Okay.
Cherish what you have. The preciousness of what you behold can only be devalued by you. Cherish what you have. Like Wakili says, when you have a country, don't give passports, don't build low walls. For your neighbors to just pass through. Guard what you have.
Okay.
Okay.
We hear
because
you.
if you don't, then you'll be infiltrated. You'll be exposed. You're going to lose the beautiful wife, like our beautiful nation, Kenya. The way we have lost it.
Okay.
We keep saying we don't have a country. It's because our fences are too low. The contractor is not building them high enough. Yes.
Yeah, it is why we are signing documents and agreements to form an alternative government in Sudan, in Nairobi. Fences hakuna.
Yes. It is why we are going to open the Somali border in April. Yes. So,
My goodness,
Aye.
the depth of this problem.
Nakwambia. Don't joke. In the meantime, I'm still a contractor. Give me the job.
So we can do this here because we have the platform. Dennis is taking, or rather giving his application to build high fences to protect your beautiful ones.
Yes.
I don't know that I would give him the job, but okay. The next force in Kenya's politics seems to be the young folk. And when we say that, we're talking about... I don't even want to say that anybody who's geriatric would have the opportunity to then we're talking about age specific here, and that the younger age demographic. And so we're looking between, I read something actually just looking to this yesterday, that somebody up until the age of 50 can still be considered, young in order to then be able to lead. Because what are we talking about here? If we look at across the board, you're looking at 70, 80-year-olds who still want to fight for an opposition to power, exactly, as it were, right? So we're saying that those between the age, because we've also been told that on the lower end of it, that you can't expect, and this is interesting according to psychology, that a 25-year-old man or woman has just reached that age where you would say their development has just completed, but they're still supple in terms of that development. So a 25-year-old is not going to be able to make decisions or to move in a way in which it would be progressive. And that's not an insult. It's not a degradation. It is to say that you still have a little bit of time to put into it to build up some experience. So then it will say that the demographic that you're looking at here is 28 to 50. And if that age holds a lot of Kenya's population at this point, then you're looking at a good amount. You're looking at, a good resource to hold. So we'll start with you, Kiragu. Are we saying that the next wave that has to happen for Kenya to realize where it wants to go progressively has to then be taken up by the people who are sitting in this age bracket, 28 to 50?
Thank you so much, Ndu, and I think you've painted the whole perspective very well. I agree with you entirely when you mentioned that that's where the future is. That's where the country is headed. I'll take you back some few steps to the Gen Z revolution in 2024. When you had that Gen Z revolution, there were issues to do with accountability that were being brought to forth. There were issues to do with governance that were being brought to forth. But then we ask ourselves the question, why did that particular movement then subside in the long run? When we look at the young population and the youthful population at large, then they have a mandate to also ensure that they move ahead and also pick up this particular role of ensuring that we have good governance in the country. But aside from that, when we look at this age bracket and when we look at comparative jurisprudence, when we look at other countries and what they have done, we see, for example, we take an example of Burkina Faso. We have seen the same age bracket that you have mentioned here picking up power. They have a president who is actually less than 40 years, I presume. When you look at Senegal, again, we have a president who is actually within the same age bracket. And what you have seen them doing within their countries is actually amazing. It's spectacular. And that's what ought to be replicated within all the other jurisdictions. And I will also say that when we have this particular age bracket within the governance system and within the whole structures of government, then we are also saying that these people are coming out as people who seek accountability in each and everything. They don't fear. They say that, for example, if you're headed to Singapore, then we must say, we must have a good blueprint of where we're headed. Then we also have to avoid the issues of inferiority complex. We have a lot of resources. We have just mentioned here the proverb that you've just given us from Cameroon. We have a lot of resources that are there. So you're saying that we have to safeguard those resources, and that's what the young people are actually, saying, that we need to safeguard this beautiful life that we already have. So the young people have proven that they have the urge and the need to transform the country. But then again, as you mentioned, there's an issue of experience that comes into play. We have to also ask ourselves the questions, have we then built our capacity well enough so that we can pick up the mantle, so that then we can transform the country? That's another issue that we need to grapple with. Do we have enough information with with regards to what is happening in the country, with regards to bills that are being passed, with regards to the National Infrastructure Fund that is being passed, such kind of things. So we need to ask ourselves the difficult questions. But again, that age bracket has proven that it can actually deliver.
Well, Wakili, you put it rightly that there are quite a few dynamics to consider when having the youthful conversation. But I want to perhaps grasp the mind of the youth or a youthful person today when they hear they're being first judged by their age, not capacity, not knowledge, and yet we're in an era whereby the youth are more informed than the old. The only thing that would be lacking perhaps would be experience. So how do you, as a young person, take it when you hear you're being judged by age, yet the people who are judging you by age regarding capabilities to lead and occupy the positions of service, them themselves got into office when they were equally youthful. If you look at the current president, if you look at Kalonzo Musyoka, if you look at the Mudavadi, you know, they all came into office, public service, when they are perhaps even younger than you. How do you interpret that? How does that sit with the youth when they see these people who have been in service for the last 20, 30, some argue it's not 50, it is 40 years. They're telling you, no, you have to keep off. How do you take it?
It's a very interesting perspective, I'll say. You see, the most unfortunate bit, and I'll actually align it to whatever I've discussed earlier on, the whole thing is that when we are moving and going out into the streets, we're told it's time for the young people to go out into the streets, right? When we are demanding for accountability and asking the president difficult questions, then you're told it is time for the youth. When we are actually even summoning the president on X, we're told it's time for the youth. But when it comes to governance, you're told that we are too young. But we have seen from even our own experiences. We've seen the president, got into office in Eldoret when he was young. We have seen His Excellency Kalonzo Musyoka got into office when he was young. Musalia Mudavadi was a finance minister when he was very young. Such kind of examples, and we have seen this narrative that is being pushed that when it comes to governance issues, you guys just take a back seat. You be in the youth wings, you just be on the menu, not on the table, right? So but I'll say this, there are two perspectives here. We talk about the issue of the knowledge, that is the what is going on with, around the country, and that the youth have gotten it right. When it comes to matters of even breaking down, for example, the finance bill that was there, when it comes to matters of even the recent legislation that is being passed by Parliament, when it comes to the Land Amendment Acts that is trying to convert freehold land into leasehold land. We are seeing all these things. The youth are actually conversing them on Twitter and wherever. But there's also an aspect of experience. You see, this is an aspect that we are actually grappling with as the youth. And that's where now we need to also be politically active. That's where we need to come out. We have been criticized, and also our colleagues have criticized us, that we don't move beyond the social media handles, right? We don't move beyond social media. We don't want to come out and tell the people face to face, one on one, that the country is headed in the wrong direction. We just want to tweet. So that is the easiest form of actually expressing ourselves. So we need to also come out and say, so that we can gain that experience. We need to come out and say that this is wrong, this is what you're supposed to do. I'm offering myself, for example, to vie for this position. I'm offering myself, I can serve you guys in this particular way. So the youth also need to come out. Experience is not gathered when you are actually tweeting or when you're actually posting on WhatsApp statuses. No, it's gathered when you're actually on the ground.
Tell you what, it's been said for a very long time that the youth do not have experience, right? But one would ask the question, even if it's to be groomed or to be taken through the system, what kind of experience do you want to learn from the individuals over there? Zero. I'm sorry. The individuals that you talk about, the Kalonzo Musyokas, the William Rutos, right? Who have been in that space for a very long time, since they were young people. What example have they left that a young person who's getting into politics today would say, I want to be greater than William Ruto because he has set these standards? you would actually hurt yourself scratching your head looking for that person who is a model politician that you would follow, right? So we talk about experience that we do need. We have a blueprint that is the Constitution that clearly tells you how you should run the country, right?
Certainly.
Today we talk about the young people breaking down the Constitution and the laws better than even the experienced guys who've been in office for a very long time. What experience do we need? If it's about technocrats, young people can look for technocrats who love this country for what it is. Experience, the Constitution tells you exactly what you need to do, I reckon.
And I agree with you on that perspective, but I'd also love to advance that particular line of thought. You see, the Constitution, for example, when you speak about the leaders that have been there, right from the 80s, the 90s, and the current regime, there's the same people who are in the current regime, actually. When you look at them, most of them, if not all, have been involved in corruption cases, graft, and what have you. And the Constitution of Kenya has now come in to also try and help us to understand what is the ethical leader supposed to do. What is the threshold? What is the standard? So, and that's exactly your point. But my point is, beyond the Constitution, so we should practice what we actually read.
Yes.
So if you're reading issues to do with accountability and integrity, chapter 6, then you also ought, in whichever space that you are in, you also ought to practice that particular thing that you're saying. You also ought to explain to the people, because, we should not assume that everybody has read this particular constitution and this legislation. That's where my point is, that we need to also come out. We also need to speak the values that are in the constitution, so that then you can marry the constitution and the values that are there with the people.
Do you think there's an understanding across board about what the role or what the need is? Because, look, for the longest time, there's a lot of responsibility that has been placed on young people in terms of you carry the greater percentage of the population, you're the future leaders, you're this, that, the other thing, you're... Okay. But is there an understanding across board? Because, look, we've had conversations, interestingly enough, this week as well, with some brilliant people who are doing some great things. Just yesterday, Nganga Mwegai was here and he's talking about taking the Constitution and putting it into an experiential document so that you can understand exactly what it means when we talk about leadership and integrity, or when we talk about devolution and governance and things like that. So he's doing that and trying to bring people around. There are others who would translate the finance bill into languages so that it makes sense, so that people can understand what's happening. All coming from a youth perspective. There are people who are making sure that young women are understanding what it actually means to be in this political race and saying, you better come prepared because there's a dog-eat-dog world out there. But are people coalescing around the idea of constitutionalism and sovereignty then when it comes to what you can do as an individual, and say, this is what I can do as an individual, but this is what I must do as part of a community? Do people understand? Is that happening? Because if it's not, then perhaps that's where it needs to start from.
Certainly, and you've mentioned a very good concept of constitutionalism. Constitutionalism is actually the spirit in the constitution, right? So that it has to be inculcated within the people, so that then there can be synchrony between what the Gen Zs or what the young people are actually saying and what the people are actually believe. So it's something that needs to play out very well, play out clearly, so that there is no disconnect in between. The people also need to understand these particular precepts of the Constitution and why they are placed there. Why do we have issues to do with, for example, public finance that are placed in there? Why do you have issues, to do with institutions and the independence of the institutions? Why do you have such issues? So the people also need to understand, and they also need to, digest the whole concept of the Constitution and be ready to accept that this is the new constitution, this is the new dispensation. Because unfortunately, and that's where the community comes in, we have had a people who believe that corruption is institutionalized. We have had a people who believe that we cannot live without corruption per se. That when I get out of this particular building and move into that particular road and I'm in the wrong, I have committed a traffic offense, I need to offer a bribe to the police officer, we have actually normalized corruption. That's the most unfortunate bit. So that is one of the tenets in the Constitution, integrity. So do we live up to that particular standard? So we need to have synchrony between what is in the Constitution and what we are saying as the youth and what the people actually believe in, so that you can have the whole spirit of the Constitution actually envisioned in the people.
Well, President Kibaki had a vision.
Yeah.
And he dedicated to empower the children of his time, so that this day and age, we can have a very empowered lot.
Sure.
People who can read and interpret, not just the Constitution, but also other values in the society. Yeah. But that happened, and he delivered for that. And I think we have a lot of the Gen Z revolution was born out of that very informed lot.
Yes.
However, when you look at the people who are in office today, they are reducing this very critical group of our community to just numbers. To the extent they are saying, you guys sit aside, we let you know whom you can have as a president. And that conversation has been advanced so much, such that people are almost resigning to the fact that we have to wait and be told from a boardroom, this is the person who can be a president.
Yes.
So now I want to just ask whether the young people understand the responsibility they hold and the power they have. That they're enough in numbers, they have enough knowledge, they understand the quality, the character rather, of the person who should be in office is well defined in chapter 6.
Yes.
The management of our resources of our country are there in chapter 12 of the Constitution. Do the young people know that they have the power to have a president, for example, of their choice? A people's president by the power of their vote, even though they are not coming out to vote, to register as voters yet. So in your circles of engagement with young people, fellow young people, what do they find? Where is the resistance? Where is the resistance coming from? They are not coming out to own this electoral process and say, this is our country. Not only are we the future, but we are the present. So we have to own it, own the process. Let people know early enough that we cannot vote for you because of your questionable character.
Yes.
And that for us, we know as a young people, for us to vote for anybody, for us somebody to vote for you as a young person, they must have a vote.
Yes.
Where is the resistance, and how do we have a breakthrough?
Certainly. I think when we speak about sovereignty and the people's power, that's something that came out so clearly in 2024, moving onwards. Each and every time when I interact with my friends, you'll hear them say, we are the people and we have the power.
Right.
Right? So it means that it's slowly dawning on them that we are now moving from the boardroom politics to the citizen politics, to the issue-based politics. We are not now being put into tribal cocoons, so to speak. We are not being put into cocoons of the youth from Mount Kenya or the youth from Nyanza or the youth from... We are moving away from that. So we are coming into a space whereby we realize that Article 1 of the Constitution actually gives us that particular mandate. Now, when we speak about now moving into fielding our own candidate, right? The most unfortunate bit is that still we have some internal resistance with regards to picking out votes. We have realized, number one, that we have the power. But again, number two, we don't want to pick out the votes as at now. The reason is there is lack of trust in the electoral process. And that's the most unfortunate bit in this particular country. That elections seemingly are just any other day, any other day event. We don't have adequate planning. We don't have, issues to do with actually education of voters. Those issues that really matter. But you find that the youth actually, due to the frustration that they've actually faced, they don't want to pick out the votes, right? Due to the frustration.
Okay.
So we need to actually fix that particular bit, especially with regards to trust with the IEBC, so that then we can have this power translated to the votes. Now when the votes are there, it is easier to actually field our own presidential candidate, because you remember that we are looking at 3 to 4 million, new votes that are going to be registered in this particular period. So when you have that particular voters base, it means that we have the power, the numbers that are requisite, that we can put a person who actually upholds Chapter 6 of the Constitution, a person who emanates from the people, not necessarily from the boardroom.
Okay.
So those are the issues that are actually playing out with regards to the youth and with regards to the boardroom politics.
And we see the force of the youth. We see it. We can see them coming into rallies. We see them. We see young people in protest. We see young people. They are the ones who are filling the stadium. They are the ones who are filling the rallies to a large extent. By and large, 80 to 70 to 80% are young people. How does that power, which is so evident, translate into constitutionality, where we say that in order for us to realize a leader, there's a process that must take place? And in this case, that's the process of voting. That other processes may have taken place with voter education, with civic education, and a lot of all these other things that now culminates in the vote. How is this power transferred, like you did in the wires? You put on the light and it moves through the wires and then the light goes on. How does that happen? How do you take that to become this other thing?
Thank you so much. What I would like you to understand is that when it comes to national leadership, it's built through structures and having a very clear plan on how to transform the country. And what I've seen most of the time when the young people are following some good rallies, having radicalization, is majorly because they follow vibe, not really things that are of the impact and the elements that are concerned of the issues of national leadership. So if the young people could understand of how important it is for somebody to come in place and lead a country, then perhaps they may have to relook on other factors that build in the character, build in the somebody acumen of the leadership, but at the same time on issues of job opportunities, because I think that is number one of the issues that the youth must always ensure that at least somebody who's coming to that place in leadership and taking these accolades is to ensure that they create job, they become to make the country become industrialized, and also to ensure that they protect the rule of law that whole pledge when we see them being sworn every time when they're in Kasarani, and perhaps 2027 it will be Talanta Hela Stadium. So these are things that I want the young people to understand, that when it comes to national leadership, it's something that is built over years, and it's built through strategies, and it's built through plans, and it's built through the ensuring that everybody is consulted in the place. But at the same time, if the young people want to participate effectively, there are basic things that are required to do, not just participation. And one thing that I know in my life, if there is economic empowerment, it reduces radicalization and it improves voters' turnout. So these are things that also, for the youths, why they don't come out, we may have those issues that make them to remain indoors and not come to vote. But at the same time, we must ask ourselves, do we sit in those room of ours during the voting time, or do we have to go out to ensure that we elect those leaders that will perhaps change this country? So we may be the majority, yes. Others may refer us as majority, the silent majority. But the question is, are we majority on which side? The side that have the loss or the side that has the win? But at the same time, we have to understand ourselves. We have been talking of issues we have been seeing these faces since 1980. But the question is, when shall it dawn on our side? Then it means a matter of transition. Like my friend here, Muchanga, and me here, we have invested in our time. Maybe since when we were teenagers at 19. What do you expect us to go when we are 50? So when it comes to leadership, it's built over time. You will never expect somebody from outside with no any political experience to come just in the group because he has a sanity in life, maybe he's clean as Jesus, and says, I want to be your president because I have integrity. There are things and components that make a leader. And one of it is the consistency and understanding all issues that happen around this country. And that's why when I see a presidential candidate who has come from an industry or a private sector and wanting to be a president, my question is, what is the reality of politics in country? There are issues that has never left us since independence. Issues of regionals, we were divided by not in our will, but by the virtue that I don't know which empirical formula they used to divide us into regions. But at the same time, when we came to new constitution again, it happened. We had counties from Rift Valley, we had counties from Mount Kenya, we had counties from Coast, we had counties from Eastern, and you're asking yourself, what are these common things that are happening in these counties? You realize the counties in Rift Valley, maybe they are in this tribe. The counties in Mount Kenya, they're majorly Kikuyus. The counties in Easterns are majorly Kampas. That factor. And again, when you see the leaders from those regions, where now they have the backup from the people of their own region, they're exactly people of the same tribe from their ethnicity. So you wonder, do we change this leadership from the aspect of tribal lens, or do we change this leadership from the angle of ensuring that we have transformative kind of leadership? But my thing is, being a tribe A or B is not a problem. What is a problem is when a leader forget the mandate and the duty that are supposed to be placed on them when they're in that office. So that's why the president coming in office, we know that is not a babysitting job. It's a serious job that you need to transform. That's why when you see William is having this kind of rebel every time, is because change by nature, it brings that kind of friction. And that's why you may expect it to happen. So I want the young people to understand the weight, the magnitude that it carries when it comes to having the leaders in place, not just following the vibe.
Well, thank you, Brian. However, you being a young person, it worries me that the first sort of a conversation is a tribal conversation, coming from you. Yet today, everybody is saying, this is what we walked away from when we gave ourselves a new constitution. The new constitution was meant to be an equalizer. And that's why it gave us, one, a devolved government. And we are a people, as a Kenyan nation, who come from more different walks of life. Of course, we have tribes. But it is unfortunate that the first conversation we can have when you're talking about changing our country is how tribal we are. Yet, we walk away from the issues. Today, I would ask you, because you're a youthful person from the UDA party.
Yes.
And the popular conversation in the youthful circles is that Ruto must go, because they feel he has not honored, as you said, what he pledged for when he was sworn in to be the president of this country. Do you think that the youth are delusional or deluded when they say Ruto must go because he's not upholding the ethics, the functionality, and the mandate of being in that office? You as a young person.
You said when you were beginning the conversation, all the things was mentioning tribe. And you know me, I'm looking at things from the logical perspective. And as much as how many times you can wish it away, by default, that conversation in politics will always come in place. And when you see something of sort, we wish to overcome it. But overcoming such kind of a thing, it's very not that easy, because it's something that it has been inculcated. It's something that it has become like a doctrine that many have been built inside themselves. The many have understood the game. That's why they say politics is local. Do you know why they say that? Because you need to go back to your people. That's why when you see the opposition will just be saying, we have to lock in, kama Ukambani tumefunga, Mount Kenya tumefunga. These are language that the whole guys are putting on us. But remember, the people who are in the place now at the moment, who are leading us, are the same people who are saying this, not the young people. The young people are saying, we want to vote for the leaders who want to transform this country. And that is the thing. When you say the President William Ruto, majority of the young people are saying one term, that is a lie. I can tell you that. Yesterday we had election.
By election.
Yes, by election, that is the word. And all those seats, we got it away with it. Why? Because the people on the ground understand exactly what we are doing. The whole thing that you are seeing here online and the reality in the ground are not the same thing. There's a difference between people who follow the vibe and the difference between the people who are on the ground who understand what the government is doing.
Do you agree?
And if I can ask a question on top of that, so he's saying that people are following the vibe, but are not taking that good vibe feeling and are not translating it into any kind of action. Because if they were, we would see something different. Essentially, if UDA swept up all four of those seats, there were four of those seats yesterday, if we saw anything beyond vibe, Kiragu, that perhaps you would have then seen a split result?
I think my friend Brian, and I love how he articulates issues with regards to government. He's quite wrong when he mentions that the young people are actually on the ground, as he has mentioned, are actually not against President William Samoei Ruto. And there's a reason to that. You see, poverty does not know tribe. Economic issues don't know ethnicity. So when it comes to issues to do with how the country is being run, what issues we are facing, we don't acknowledge that you're a Kikuyu, we don't acknowledge you're a Luo, we don't acknowledge you're a Kalenjin, we acknowledge you are all Kenyans. So we are all in the same bracket. So when the young people come out and say that, for example, there is a bill in Parliament, the National Infrastructure Bill, that seeks to take us to Singapore, right? That we are going to be having roads being constructed everywhere. But then in that particular bill, around clause 2 or clause 3, we see that the government has kind of control over the funds, and we are waiving off the duties of the control of budget, waiving off the duties that Parliament has, waiving off the duties that also Treasury has as a checker. Then I am concerned. I am concerned by the mere fact that when we speak about economic empowerment, we are looking into speeches that are being given out there, rallies that are being conducted, gaining political mileage, but not focusing on the real issues that are there. So when you talk about Ruto must go, we are looking at the issues. We are not looking at, the tribal king, or we're not looking at the person who knows all the politics, who has been there in the political system. We are saying that Ruto must go because of the issues that have been there. The issues with regards to healthcare, the issues with regards to education. That is very vital. We're looking at the issues with regards to CBC, for example. We've had a lot of issues with parents who have been transitioning their kids from grade 9 to grade 10. So these are the issues that the youth are actually saying that we need to look into them. If we don't look into them, then we are simply saying Ruto must go. So aside from that, the reality is that we cannot base merely leadership on a political win or a by-election win. Leadership requires us to look into what issues are underlying there. So merely celebrating a win, saying that the government is popular because of winning by-elections, it started with the Mbeere North by-election, and I remember having an engagement with Brian earlier on, and him telling me, government is going to take this particular seat. So the real issues that are there on the ground are, if the people of Mbeere North then elected that particular member of parliament, we don't want to know whether you are supporting government or not. We want to actually have our issues sorted out.
And you see, that for me is where the crack of the matter is, right? We are here saying the government is doing everything, that the youth need to get involved. One asks the question, as we said today, Brian, right? Mwananchi is asking, the youth are asking, where are we with healthcare? Where are we in fighting corruption? Where are we with governance? You understand? That I will tell you this: the president comes in my constituency, I will come out and look at this guy. Also, this is how he looks like, right? But that does not mean it's support. You're talking about vibes. I might come just look at this guy because, first of all, the president who made a promise to ensure that I'm employed has not made that happen. I do not have a job. What do I do when he shows up? I'm going to show up to look at the guy. You know what I mean? But here we are talking about the issues that the youth have spoken on the streets that saw them be killed. Issues to do with governance, economic empowerment, and not economic empowerment that is being pushed by politicians. Real economic empowerment that would get rid of poverty in the country. Poverty is the equalizer in all these conversations. Ask any Kenyan today, are you richer today before the government got into office? And you'll get your answer. All these statistics that you keep on throwing around macro level does not translate to Mwananchi on ground. Ask someone today, with the money you have, are you able to buy 2 packets of unga, despite the fact that unga is now at 150? Are they able to buy 2 packets of unga? They'll tell you no. Why? Because things are expensive. The economy is so high in the country. So one asks the question, when we say that youth need experience, fine, the youth need experience, but who says that we must do things the way it has been done every other time for us to get new results? At times we need to disrupt the system and do things differently. Do you reckon?
Wow, that's a good question. And I will answer this way. You know, when we were campaigning and once we came into power, one of the things that we were following majorly was the 5 pillars in our better bottom-up economic transformation agenda. And there were 5 things that we prioritized. And those things were the things that will reckon this country and transform this country in the way that we were projecting. And one of it was agriculture, the other one was housing, and then now reducing cost of living by ensuring that we have affordable health services. And then now we came with digital superhighway and creative economy, and also micro, small, and medium enterprise economy, and all of these things. And one of the ways that we had to intervene was to have quick plans, which was the quick wins, and then have short, and then have medium, and then have long term. And at the moment, we are in 2023, 2027 medium, for the medium plan revolving around implementation. And one of those things was, if we are going to prioritize these issues that we have put forward, is to ensure that if we are going to go back to formal, informal sector by going to MSME and also promoting the local people at the ground level, this is the best way to ensure that we have inclusive economy, ensuring that the Kenyans at the bottom of the pyramid are also empowered. And when we're looking for that, we ask ourselves, how do we put all these agendas and manifestos into effectiveness? Because when we are doing housing, it's a national issue to do with the housing program to ensure that everybody afford a dignity housing. But in the same time we are doing that, we ensure that even the people at the lower card of our society also ensure they have the job, they put the food on the table. And all of this was done because we had to understood between the white collar job, blue collar, and then the lottery. You know, we have 3 in pyramid. We have the white collar, which is in the top of pyramid, and then in the mid we have blue collar, and then at the bottom we have the lottery. These are people who majorly are the majority in this country. The people who wake up each and every morning are going somewhere, not guaranteed that they'll have maybe $2.5 a day, but they are just lottering around to know. They're just betting. They don't know if they can afford that meal, but they are guessing work. So we had to think about it. How much does this cost to create one white-collar job? It costs 3 million. That is the nature of it. What does it cost to create one blue-collar job? It costs 1.5. But what does this cost to create one lottery job? This means that you need only 150,000. And for the government thought it would be very wise to empower the people at the bottom. And this will ensure that our economy,
putting them in the
and doing what
different
exactly?
sectors.
How have they been? How has that happened?
That has happened. Let me explain to you.
Yeah.
We have a lot of activities the government is conducting now.
such as
Such as housing, that's number one.
That has put money in the hands of this lower level.
Yes,
to the
because
number of
people are
okay,
working.
okay, let's go through this, shall
Yes.
we? How many people, let's give or take percentage and numbers, are at this lower cadre that you talk about? How many people? It's a
They're
quick
majority in
It's a
this
quick
country.
answer. Give me a percentage.
They're the majority.
Give me a number.
I can say they're 60%.
60%?
Yes.
So if you take 60% of the population of the country, we're talking about upwards of 28 million people.
Yes.
All right?
20
Okay,
million.
maybe actually more.
Good.
50% is
Yes.
26 million.
Yes.
So 10% more of that puts you at about 29 million.
Yes.
So 29 million people in this country are at that cadre. And what you're telling me now is that it has been done so that these people have now something in their hand on a daily basis that can push them economically. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is this, the 60% I'm talking about is the workforce of this country. The people between the age of 18 to 35, which...
careful with the numbers, bro.
Yeah, I'm very careful with that.
Let me put it this way to you.
Yes,
From 0 to 9,
yes.
how would you rate the performance of this government?
9,
9.
yes.
Kiragu, what do you think? Let's have a civilian give you more feedback. Go ahead.
Yes, I'll give it a 1 out of 9. Yes.
Could
What
you
would-
qualify?
Why would you
Yes.
give it a 9?
Yeah.
What indicators would give you, because 9 is 100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
What indicators would say that 9 is what has been achieved?
Let's come this way. When we are coming in place, and as a ruling party, and as the place at the moment, we came with the manifesto. And this manifesto is purely based on what we engaged the citizenry in regards to what we want to do to them. And also they gave us the mandate.
Brian, so that we
have
don't
to
go
do
down
with
a
them.
slippery slope here and
Yes.
waste our minutes,
Yes.
it's necessary.
Yes.
Because we are saying if you scored a 9, which is 100%,
Yes.
that means if I did an exam and they asked me to answer 20 questions and
Yes.
each question was 3 marks, that
Yes.
means I got every one of them.
Yes.
We've already established that there was a manifesto.
Yes.
You said that there were certain things that were done for a lower cadre,
Yes.
for example.
Yes.
I want to understand 60% of the country's population, from what you're saying based on a manifesto, that means that 29 million people today have jobs and that they can afford the $2.5 a day that you're talking about for food. Is that the case?
I didn't say that. You're saying that.
What are the
I'm
indicators?
saying,
Let's
what
go.
I'm saying is this. When it comes to transformation, I talked about quick wins,
Which are what?
short terms, medium.
Give me
and
one
long
quick win. Give me one so that we can see. One.
We had a
quick-
lot of quick wins.
One.
When we come in place.
One.
Intervention like for agriculture, providing fertilizer subsidy. That's a quick win.
Well, fertilizer is not food. Are you aware we have drought in the northeastern?
But we need also to provide
Are
to
you
produce
aware we have
food
drought?
in the regions
Are you aware?
where we have
Are you
arable
aware
lands
that-
for this food.
Are you aware that we are having drought today?
We have it.
If we are producing enough food to feed ourselves, the 100% score,
Yes.
we would be able to feed those people. Are you aware that almost 500,000 of students did not transition to grade 10? How do you rate that as a 100% scorecard for this government? Are you aware that kids did not go to grade 10?
I want to tell you this.
Are you aware there was a mismatch? Kids were placed 2 counties away from their home for a day school.
Yeah, those are issues
And
that
that
are
is still
happening.
100%.
And those are technological issues when it comes to
It's
placing.
not technological issue. That's the reality of our country, courtesy of the leadership we have, led by your party, the UDA party, by your party leader, William Ruto, whom the youth are saying must go. And
No.
that's why Kiragu is saying 1%. And let's hear how he's qualifying. He's qualifying his 1%. Please.
Thank you so much. And I think, the most unfortunate bit is that Brian is not coming to the reality that this government has performed poorly. When you speak about the manifesto that was there in 2022, the bottom-up economic transformation model, that particular manifesto was coined on the hustler narrative, that we are going to empower the people who are below the pyramid. We are going to ensure that we have economic empowerment. We are going to ensure that they have money in their pockets and what have you. But what have you experienced so far? Because, we have to judge that particular manifesto vis-a-vis the timeline that it had, the 5 years.
5
that
years,
it had.
yeah.
So within this particular period that we are facing currently, and Brian needs to come to this particular reality, is that people don't have money in their pockets. The pay slip is constrained, Brian. When we speak about the issues that are being faced with regards to taxation, we have a lot of double taxation, in fact, but we're not having a translation of the taxation towards development. In fact, we are saying that we need to borrow more in this particular regime. And yet, when we're speaking about the bottom-up economic transformation model, you are saying that we're going to have our own in-source revenue. We're not going to suppress the Mwananchi. We're not going to suppress Wanjiko with taxation per se. So when we speak about this particular government, we have seen a deliberate move to actually destroy the systems that were there, that were input. That when we look, for example, let me give a very simple example, because we are both youth. When we look at the Nyota Fund, for example, does the president have to run around issuing out the Nyota Fund? 22,000 shillings. Do I have to necessarily come to Kiambu County, where I come from, or Nyamira County, and come to, and give you that particular money, spend a lot of resources with regards to presidential motorcades, with regards to mobilization funds, to come and give you 22,000 shillings? Money which is not accounted for, Brian. 22,000 shillings can actually come from that particular ministry directly into the phone of the youth. So we are saying that this government has performed dismally. It is politicizing each and everything. It is politicizing healthcare. When you look at, for example, SHA, which you were told that is coming to transform the healthcare system, transitioning from NHIF, we have actually seen that patients are moving. For example, I went to a hospital recently, and when this particular patient came in and said that neza tumia SHA, she was told, hatuna signatory hapa. So what does that mean? So you're being taxed for that particular healthcare, but you're not actually experiencing the benefit that you're supposed to be experiencing. We are looking into aspects of politicizing with regards to claiming that these claims that are being made by the hospitals are frivolous, or they're fraud. But you've not looked into the issues that are underlying there. So these issues that the government is actually undertaking, these things that the government is actually undertaking, are a clear reflection that they have veered off from the bottom-up economic transformation model. Now, they're telling us about Singapore. You see, this is a shift of narrative. So we need to actually understand why are we headed to Singapore again? Have we achieved the manifesto that we were given 5 years ago, 2022? Have we achieved each and every tenet that we were given in that particular manifesto? And now we are speaking about 5 trillion shillings, which was not present in the bottom-up economic transformation model, the plan. It was not present. So these issues of telling us about Singapore, we need to actually strengthen our systems, because if we need to move, then we need to ensure that the systems are there. And lastly, as I conclude, accountability is not opposition. It is constitutional patriotism. So when we speak about the government failing us as the youth, when we speak about the government failing the common mananchi, when we speak about the government in fact, when we speak about employment, I've just remembered that you're being told that you're going to be taken to Russia to actually fight on behalf of Russia, have empowerment in that particular, war and such kind of things. So when we demand accountability, when we have debts in Russia, then we are saying that is wrong. The government has performed dismally.
Well, I think one thing we have to appreciate is that experience is not competence. So the next time they flaunt their experience card, tell them it is not competence. We have so many experienced politicians who are holding very high office, but they are not competent enough to deliver for Kenyans. So I would just want to perhaps ask you, Kiragu, or Brian, because already your position is well defined and it is okay.
Yes.
Do you have faith or hope in this regime that the country can be transformed to aspirations of the current youthful generation today?
I don't really have hope in this regime. The little hope that I had was at least in 2024, when we had, the whole issue of the cabinet being sent home and us experiencing a period where we will have a kind of, I'd love to call it an altar call, right? That we will be dipped into the holy waters of Article 10, experience the national values and principles that we intended. But then that hope subsided, because the same old people who are there within the system, who destroyed the system from 2022 to 2024, are the same guys who are retained. So the little hope that I had, I no longer have that particular hope. And moving into the future, I am telling Brian straight on the face that this is a one-term government. This is a government that is going home in
these Kenyans for whom there's responsibility on their shoulders, and we're saying, is it the next force or is it the force then that has to contend or then be reckoned with when it comes to how the nation's politics will continue to progress? Kipkorir Brian is Youth Affairs with UDA, and Muchanga Kiragu is a lawyer and youth leader, Kikuyu constituency. We're having this conversation this hour before we went to take the news, and we're looking at what 100% looks like. And I hear teachers sometimes saying, don't give me a weak A. Give me I want a strong A. Because that weak A sits somewhere at 80%, 79%. We want you to give us a commanding A of 90 and above, right? And so that's why you have this education system whereby we say you're exceeding expectation, you are approaching expectation, you are meeting expectation, you are below expectation. What you've told us, Brian, is that 9, I don't know why you did 0 to 9, but okay, we'll go with that, Joe. But 9, and you're saying 100%. So I have to ask the question, because let's not be biased, let's not be prejudiced, let's be factual, right? That when we see that there are children who are out of school in this drought, don't be deceived by this rain, that we still see the effects of drought today, that there are children who had to be pulled. Because not even pulled, they just could not go to school. There are people in this country who are walking 100 kilometers. 100, that's like walking from here to Naivasha to get water in something like this, that is the color of the wall behind you, to drink. That's the reality of our times.
Yes.
That there are people in this country who are at the door of a hospital and die because, this is not me being dramatic, this is the reality. Because at the reception, they tell them that we are not able to offer you treatment because in the system, we can't, regardless of the fact that you've paid for a year. That we have community health workers who are given a stipend of 3,500 shillings per month, right? To go into areas, and that there's one who takes a woman who is in labor to go to hospital. But guess what? He shows up to a medical facility, and even the cotton wool that will be used in the labor process, he will buy. He will find transport to take that woman to hospital, and guess what? He will take from that money to leave some food in that house where that woman is going to deliver. Reality of our times. That there's a man who kneels before his son as he drops him off to high school. This term, not last year, this January that we're talking about, and had 30 Kenya shillings in his pocket, and gave his son and said, stay with that. When I get another one, I will come. Do you want me to continue? Or are you feeling a little bit down? It's okay there. Yeah. That's the reality. Now, government is put in place constitutionally to secure its people. That is its only job. To secure it in different sectors: security, health, education, livelihoods, infrastructure, development. That's the job of government, to create an environment where this security can be guaranteed. Now, I want to understand, if you tell me that, and I'm not even talking about personalities, that the government in place led by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is scoring 100%, and these scenarios are the reality, make it make sense for me.
Good. The essence of me saying that we are doing good well as a government.
No. You said you are scoring 100%.
Yes,
doing
that's
good.
what
Doing good
well.
is approaching expectation.
We're doing well.
Doing good is exceeding.
We're doing well.
Yeah.
And remember, a journey for transformation always starts somewhere. And for that transformation to happen, we purely based it on the timeline that the country has projected under its own philosophy of the policy. And in that ideology, I believe, and in that regard, that whatever that we are doing, we're in the journey of transformation. The issues where you see people are walking over 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers to fetch water just for domestic use is something that has been there before. But through the government, we have come with interventions that we're going to build boreholes to ensure that we have sufficient water for these people. And also we have this water catchment so that we can provide sufficient water for each and every household. And that is a work in progress. There's no point. Remember, in this country, we have resources that are very scarcity when it comes to capital, because we don't have enough money. Remember, a lot of money that we have.
No, there's money.
There's
money, because if you can spend 340 million shillings to be flying everywhere, that's just flying. There's money. Let's not talk about
Because we pay
money.
2.2 trillion every year. Large part of it is our odious debt.
Yeah.
We should not be paying a whole trillion per year. And if that money was to be plowed back into the issues that are being articulated, health...
Remember, our
security,
budget is 4.1.
No, we're talking
4.2 trillion.
Yes. How much do we pay in debt? I'm telling you, last year, we paid 2.4 trillion in the month of November.
Yes.
1.2 trillion should
How many
have
go
been
to
paid.
salary?
No.
No, this is no.
No.
This is
debt.
first. This is
First we
just
pay
debt.
We paid debt.
Yes.
2.5.
Then what remains? Trillion. What remains is where we come now to debt.
Yes.
To
I told
salary.
you to be very careful with numbers, because
We are talking
that's
about
the direction.
4.2 trillion, 2.5 to debt.
No, you don't get it, Brian. You don't get it. Of the money that we collect,
Yes.
of the money that we borrow, we're supposed to put that into development. The taxes that we collect is supposed to go to debt and salaries. You do not borrow to pay debts, right? We have overborrowed. He told you that much. We've had the ceiling. We are
cracked
beyond.
the ceiling.
Yes,
We've broken the ceiling a long
Yes.
time ago.
So the mismanagement of our economy is a conversation we can have for a whole 2 hours. The collection of our taxes, we experience, he told you about double taxation. And that's why it's best a youthful person like you tells you from his own perspective. The tax injustice we're experiencing this day to day, whereby you pay tax, whether you're working or not, you still spend VAT, 16% of the money you spend to buy daily household stuff, you pay that president a salary. He's the number one employee of all Kenyans. All those who are working and those who are not working. And the only thing he's supposed to do, because he's the leader of government, is to ensure that they receive the services that are there constitutionally, not as a favor. So to come here and say that we have had drought for the many years, that you are confirming the injustice that continues to happen from the government. And the government that we can hold responsible is the government of the day, today. Because they took office to deal with all those issues.
You know,
so I'll forgive you.
No.
You see,
But the young people...
Let me tell you something. When we are talking about, the drought has been there. That's a fact. as a nature circumstance. That is the truth. But for the moment, we're having a project in Kulal, in Kilifi and Tana River. Is that the truth? Yes. We are producing a lot of production from agriculture side.
Where does it go?
Obvious.
Are
in
you
this
aware?
country.
Where?
Guys,
Are you
comes with
aware of the
surplus.
Emirati farming that is part of the Gulana farming scheme you're talking about?
guys,
So to ask your question?
my question is, we will talk about Galana Kulalu. It does not take 5 years for produce to be harvested.
Right.
If we had produced and harvested, people in the northern part of the country would not be dying of hunger. The project is there. What to show out of it is zero. We will talk about the economy is doing well, people are working. If I'm unable to meet my basics, whatever is happening does not make a damn sense to me. If we are talking about borrowing, and I'm not saying development, what are you borrowing for? Because the law is clear on when you borrow, what you do with the money. If Kenyans are giving you the taxes routine of 3 trillion shillings, but that money is not being seen in our hospitals, in our schools, it's not being seen in our development, it's not being seen, it does not make sense to me. If I am a young person today, under the economic empowerment through the better agenda, make it easier for me to do business in the country, and that is not happening. That manifesto does not make sense to me. Kenyans are saying simple things. Make it make sense. So far, that 9% that you're saying,
No,
the score of
100%.
9, that 100% is not making sense even to you who's seated here.
It does.
Okay.
Let me tell you something.
Let's just do that, and then we're going to come with Brian so that we can, kind of wrap this
Yeah.
up. Go ahead. I mean, I've been with Kiragu, so we can wrap this up here.
We do have, I'm very happy that Kenya always look at the president as the first employee and the person responsible for
The
their
buck stops
problems.
with them, I'm sorry.
Yes, true. But remember, we have devolved government in place. When we are speaking about the issues of Northeastern, we have been giving them billions of money. Like the country like Wajir, Garissa, Tana River, Marsabit, they have been receiving a lot of money when it comes to these devolved units. And at the same time, what we are asking ourselves, is William the governor of Wajir? Is William the governor of Garissa? Because we have devolved units and they have responsibility also for taking care of their citizens. Is that the truth?
No, it's not the truth. You see,
It's the truth.
the condescending conversation is the same way you saw C.S. Bandy asking people whether William Ruto should be the one walking to Kericho and other places talking about Nyota program. The head of government is the president. The national government can suspend a county government that does not serve its people. That is constitutional. So yes, he is responsible as the head of government. We have to be constitutional. We have to be factual. And if you've been giving money for the last 3 years that this government has been in place to those counties,
No, we have
and-
been
and
since
they have-
devolution.
Let's
They
no,
have been
let's,
giving
let's,
money.
let's talk about the current president. And that money has not been utilized. Why do you continue giving money when you have the powers to suspend county operations? So, Brian, I know you may have a position, but let's be factual. Kenyans are listening to you and they can hear you. They are youthful like you. They have brothers and sisters who, we have a case in Mombasa today of a young girl, I think it was a young girl, who died because SHA was not pre-authorized. She could not access service.
Sorry for her.
So, that's the reality we are living
It's a
in today.
reality.
Let's come to you, Kiragu, as we wrap this up.
Yeah, it's a sad reality that Brian can tell us that we have no money for development, that we have a very construed budget, yet we have money for special advisors, additional special advisors, Brian. We have additional money to give 10,000 teachers each 10,000 shillings at State House. We have money that you can actually bribe people to attend political rallies and meetings. So when we look at our country as we speak currently, and when we look at the issue of accountability, and that's why I said accountability is not necessarily opposition. It's constitutional patriotism.
I agree with you.
When we look, for example, at the devolved units that you have just mentioned, and you have seen of late, recently, I think I need to bring you up to speed with the recent happenings of Nairobi County, that Nairobi County is now being transitioned into the national government.
It's a corporation.
It's whatever you may call it, it's actually the national government taking over the functions.
Is the national government intervening and cooperating and having the budget?
Intervening with
Nairobi?
80 billion shillings,
Yes.
right? So when we look at the national government intervening in the matters to do with Nairobi County, we see an aspect of the president actually playing out. That is saying that Nairobi County has been mismanaged. We have a lot of garbage in the city. We have a lot of things that are not working in the county. We have a lot of pending bills that are there. So we need to fix the capital city. And they had actually a CS for energy, Opio and I, saying on national television that this is the capital city of the Republic of Kenya, that we need to actually ensure that it is working. Regardless of it being the capital city, it is a county. That means that the buck stops with the president. And when the president fails, even these devolved units will actually fail, because he's actually the person who is allocating these budgets through the Ministry of the Treasury, through the control of budget, into these particular devolved units. So as I finalize, I love to say this, that we need to fix this country. We need to ensure systems are working. Investors don't invest in speeches, Brian. Investors invest in systems. And when we don't have good systems, then it means that we don't have a working economy and a working country. The youth population are saying that we need to uphold the standards set out in the Constitution. We need to ensure that the Bill of Rights is protected. We need to ensure that we don't have any other extrajudicial killing. We need to ensure that we live up to the standards that are there in the Constitution.
All right. Thank you so much for this. I think the good thing about conversations is that things then become apparent when you start to have thoughts that then become words, and then hopefully they can go on to action. I want to thank you, both of you, for being here with us this morning to push this conversation along and, actually staying on as you have. So very many things have become apparent. Kipkorir Brian, Youth Affairs with UDA, and Muchanga Kiragu is a lawyer and youth leader in Kikuyu constituency. Thank you for both being here this morning. Asante.
This is the Situation Room, the only way to start your day.